This is Johnny Styles here in the Iron Trenches at the Redcon 1 gym, joined by Bree Wooford and Milky Tuva. Bree's getting ready for this. By the time you see this, she's going to be like 2 days out from the 2021 NPC Diamond Classic. We are here. We're going to be doing a little bit of back. And from now on, Steve, take it away.
All right. My name's Steve, a.k.a. Milky Tuba here. Just want to let you guys know I ended up putting Bree through a little bit of a back routine. She gets ready for peak week, going on and moving forward. So nothing too crazy. Just try to get a good pump in the gym. So with your experience and everything, how would you say your very first prep, your last show, how was the experience for you?
So it was an overall really eye-opening experience. What I really learned is the amount of support and people that believed in me, that were around me, which I didn't know I had at the time. That was really, really cool to see.
All right. Now, the other thing, too, that I would have to say is through that whole experience, what was your favorite parts of prep?
My favorite parts of prep were probably knowing that I was in control of all of my actions. So it's like when you get to a certain body fat percentage and you're super depleted and you just have no energy to perform, it's all a mindset, and it comes down to like the mental challenge and the mental battle of feeding yourself positive thoughts and pushing yourself to go further and further to get what you need to get done at the end of the day. So
that's pretty good and spot on. Because I've watched you throughout your whole entire first prep. I'd have to say, like, I was very, very impressed with how hardworking you were, you know, between working all the hours at the gym, even just going through your daily routine every day, prepping your food. I would see you at the gym do that, you know, your hours of cardio that you'd have to do, even just training-wise. Like, I'll be honest with you, like, for the way how you train, you train harder than anybody that I know at the Redcon 1 gym. So that's something that, you know, when I saw you prepping for your show, I admired that a lot about you. And I definitely knew that, you know, this is definitely the sport for you. Now, one of the things in prep that we all face, I'd have to say, as well as I'm going through mine, what would you say are maybe some setbacks or some challenges that you might have faced during your time in prep?
definitely, first and foremost, not everyone around you is always going to be dieting and going to be on the same program as you are. So, like, living at home, my mom does not diet. She's constantly bringing home treats, donuts, ordering pizza, and it's just the temptation is constantly in front of you.
All the time,
and,
yeah.
you know, Grellin's just there wanting to punch you in the face all the time, and, like, you want to eat all the food, but you still have to, like, remain focused and know what your goals are and be like, you know, that'll be there when I'm done.
Honestly, that's probably one of that's definitely a big thing to face, especially when you want to have a cheat meal or you can't have a cheat meal. And then you're like, all your family's over and you're like, oh man, I got to stick to my meals.
Yep.
It's definitely one of the hardest things, because I even reach the same thing with prep right now. But definitely I could see that being a thing too. Now, do you feel when you are, this peak week versus your last peak week, how do you feel from your first show to now?
From my first peak week to now, I definitely feel pretty much the same. The peak week, just super drained. You almost feel like a zombie. But not much different in that sense. Just super drained.
Okay. No, I hear you on that one, especially. Now, the thing was, from your first show into your second show, do you feel it was easier to go right into the second show right away, being leaner?
Definitely, 100%. It was like we had a really good starting point from my last show, so we just went right back on track and started the fat loss phase all over again. So
Okay.
I feel like this time around, I feel much more confident going into this show than my first show. So I'm really excited.
Oh yeah, especially even through the whole back workout that I ended up putting you through. I was very, very impressed with the way how you looked, your striations, even the amount of for the pump that you had. Even though you are on peak week and everything like that, being somewhat depleted, I would have to say I was like very, very impressed from the first from this show even to your first show as well. So it's definitely a big change that you've made over the course of literally 3 to 4 weeks, doing back-to-back shows. So that's something that I thought was very, very impressive that I wanted to let you know about.
Thank you.
And then, obviously, as you've been coaching or getting coached through Tristan the whole entire time, do you feel like with you getting coached, was this one of the most easiest things for you, or do you think you could have done it by yourself?
Definitely not. So I've done cutting phases, dieting phases by myself before, but where I don't know enough and I'm not educated in is when I need to do a refeed or when it comes down to water manipulation and things of that nature. Like, I'm not experienced in that sense. So having Tristan coach me was extremely, extremely helpful.
Because even like backstage, from what I noticed in the first show, he was there for you every single moment. And honestly, that's so important for coaching, because there's some people that pay coaches and stuff like that, sometimes absurd amount of money, and they're not even there for their show, or they're missing or stuff like that. But he was right by your side literally every step of the way. Kudos to Tristan on that. Definitely one of the best coaches out there too, to help you with that, especially going through the first show, because everybody's nervous, you know what I mean?
100%.
And, with you doing novice and then also doing the overall, that's two things. That's not just one, you know what I mean? So now you're going up with everybody. But honestly, so for this time for the show, you definitely feel more confident, more at ease. Posing's probably a lot easier now on you as well.
Right. It's like I now know what to expect going into the show, because before going into my first show, I was incredibly anxious because it was the unknown, not knowing what to expect, and just wanting to make sure everything was going to go according to plan, hair, makeup, tan, all that good, fun stuff. But still super anxious over the whole process because it's a first-time experience.
Yeah, and then it's also a little bit stressful as well as you go along through the process, because you're like, you're getting to peak week. You want to make sure everything's done on time and on point. That's very, very important, because you want to stress at least as possible during this whole phase and process. But another thing too, I was just wondering, for you going through everything, what type of RC1 stack do you end up using for Redcon products?
So my Redcon 1 stack is always Isotope. I prefer the peanut butter chocolate flavor. Closer we get to show, it does get cut, unfortunately, but I love having that with my cream of rice.
Okay.
It's so good. It's like a dessert. I also use Big Noise and Total War. And after my fasted cardio in the morning, I make this weird fasted cardio cocktail. It's aloe vera juice, lemon juice, and apple cider vinegar, and GI juice. And the GI juice, I get the pineapple banana flavor. And it sounds like with that concoction of ingredients, it would taste absolutely disgusting.
But it actually tastes really good.
Because the GI juice, the flavor's so good. I looked forward to that drink every time on prep because it was like refreshing.
Yeah, especially like after when you get done doing cardio, you're always looking forward to that like fast cardio. I know, like especially with me, I look forward to my first meal being able to have it.
Yes.
That and like a cold thing of water as well. But that's honestly really, really awesome, especially for the type of products that you use going through in a long prep. Now, do you feel like when you ended up going in your deficit, how would you describe, how did you feel during that whole entire time?
While in a deficit, at first, you don't really feel it too much. It's more the weeks that build up after your calories get cut is when you really start to feel it. I know when I was probably about 4 weeks out is when it really hit me, and when I really started to feel like, man, what am I doing? Like, can I really handle this? And started kind of doubting myself, and that's when I really had to break that mental barrier and be like, yes, I can do this. I knew that this was going to be hard. I voluntarily am putting myself through this process, so let's finish strong.
That's really, that's really good. Now, what do you feel was the things that kept you strong during your prep?
Honestly, it's all mindset, because you can have all the support around you, but sometimes hearing certain things and words from people, supportive words, is not enough, because it all starts with what you tell yourself and what you're continuously telling yourself on a regular basis. So really, that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, and as you go through the whole entire process through things like, we all hit a weak spot, no matter what it is in prep, between, the cardio, the eating, the deficit as well, getting close to peak week and, strenuous workouts. You always got to think, what's the end goal? What do you want out of this? Obviously, you want to win first place. You're doing all this not just to, just to be up there. You want a place. I've known you for a very long time and how hard you work at this. So I know you definitely want to take this further as well. So that's something, kudos to you for, going back-to-back shows, because sometimes that is very hard and strenuous on the body, but, you're very strong enough to do so. So that's why I'm really proud of you for going back-to-back, doing that as well. But do you feel with, this show as well, you got more refeeds and, you felt a lot stronger as well?
Oh, yeah. And what made this prep much, much easier this time around was that we didn't have to drastically cut calories too much. Mm-hmm. So my previous prep, I was dieting on maybe 900 to 1,000 calories. And this time around, we were still cutting, and I was losing weight off of 1,400 calories. So it helped that I was getting those extra calories, but still leaning out at the same time.
Okay. Well, that's definitely, like I said, congrats on that, Bree. You definitely nailed it for sure for both shows. But like I said, I'm really proud to interview you guys. And I'll take it right back over to Johnny.
All right. I think you nailed it. Steve nailed it completely. He had some questions in there that I was going to do. And with that said, people know who I am and they know how to critique, and how do I tell people how it is. I saw in the video you were doing slow, controlled movements in each rep and each set. Is that something you do every time you go out and you train each body part?
Yes, every time I train, I always really try to focus on the contraction and really emphasize time under tension, slow eccentrics, because that's really how you build muscle. You can be lifting all the weight you want in the world, but if you're not controlling that weight and you're not really feeling that contraction, you're not working those muscles.
Right. And then, your conditioning for a bikini competitor is spot on. A lot of people yesterday were crazy with your conditioning. So we can see it right here in the gym. And we will surely have you back for more workouts, because I know you have a great story to tell and how you got involved in all this. But before we go, I want you to tell the people, when you were starting this journey to become a bikini competitor now in the NPC, is there any favorite bikini pros that you look up to?
Yes, I love Ashlyn Brown and Laura Lee Chapados.
Oh,
Those
there you go.
Those are the two I really look up to.
Awesome. There you go. So that's going to do it here for Steve Milky Tuba and Bree Wooford. Tell the people where can they find you on IG.
It's Bree Woof, BRIWOF.
There you go. Steve, if you want to give your IG.
Yeah, sure. It's at Milky Tuba, MILKYTUBA. And you can find me also at the gym, too.
There you go, at the Redcon 1 Gym. That's going to do it now. This has been another episode of In the Iron Trenches. We'll see you later.